Hi, my name is Kira, and this is Kira of All Trades on Fresh Factory TV. I know you can feel the air swirling with political power. It's old faces and it's new faces and there's just changes, but there's something very similar about 82% of all of those faces. As a matter of fact, I went to the Pew Research website to get some more specifics. And the Pew Research website says 82% of those who have ever run for office are white. That's what the Pew Research website says. It says that although women take up 50% of the population, only 25% of women are represented, even though non-Hispanic blacks make up 12% of the population, only 5% have ever sought office, and 15% of the U.S. are Hispanic, and only 6% of the adults who have ever run for office are Hispanic. So today on Kira of All Trades, we are going to have a conversation that maybe you have never had before. We are going to discuss political positions, the political power that comes with it, some of the qualifications, and the possibility that you can run. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Kira. Thank you so much for coming back to the show. This is Kira of All Trades on Fresh Factory TV. Every week we discuss the world of work from all over the world. Be sure if you're watching this on YouTube to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Thank you so much if you downloaded this as a podcast. Make sure to look up the podcast as Kira of All Trades. So let's get into the topic. So this week we're talking about political power and positions that one can hold. I don't know if anyone has ever told me how to run for a political position, giving me the qualifications for each, unless we're talking about my government class. I mean, yes, we have to learn this whenever we're going through school, but I don't think it's a situation where we're actually learning it so that we can run. I think that if you have certain backgrounds, if you have certain degrees, that you may be more apt to run for office. But I'll share a little bit about what I found. So, in today's episode of Political Positions, I guess the main question is, why aren't you running? So we know there's a bunch of turds out there that are running for political positions and they're winning. So why isn't a nice person like you running for elections? And obviously take any of this information with a grain of salt. Make sure to initiate your own inquiry. Make sure that you select information that's specific for your state. If you want me to help you find some information, I'll be glad to Google right alongside of you. And every week there's research to be done. I really enjoy looking at different careers and finding out the details of them. But because there's so many layers to filling out paperwork and going through the motions, it was really important to me to get all the qualifications and all the job descriptions into one episode in a way that could be shared in the future if possible. So I did discuss that the Pew Research that I found was like, it was exactly what I expected it to be. I know that majority of political positions are filled by white men, but to their credit, they mostly have advanced educations, but they're not the only group of people that have advanced educations. And a lot of these positions, what you'll find is there's really not any qualifications, but may the best man win. So, how to become a politician? And to be realistic, if you're someone who's in school and you're looking for a degree that you can follow that will help you to become a politician, geteducated.com found that political science, public administration, economics, business administration, and public policy are some of the degrees that people can go into that will teach you about public life, about government work, about the type of things that you would know coming out of school that would be similar to what you would see when you sit in a political seat. But to be honest with you, what I really saw was that people who had current positions either had a law degree or they had an extra long set of experience from the particular office that they were running for, or they had like a high school diploma. I mean, it's really it's really all over the place. I really didn't see anyone who had, those political sciences or public administration degrees, but I'm sure it does help to have those advanced degrees. And leave me a comment if I'm wrong. In all my research, I did not see where there were places that say, oh, you have to have a certain degree, you have to have this. But if it makes you feel any better, the total research says no president in modern history has gotten to their position without at least having a 4-year degree. So, thumbs up to all the people who've already completed college. If that's something that you're looking forward to doing, then definitely do your research. And I would always say for any of these positions, depending on if this is the way you want to go or if it's just a discussion that you want to have so that you have options, start close to home. So some of the most localized positions I could find were school board members. And the first thing I want to tell you is that for at least Harris County, they don't get paid. But the description of a school board member is a Texas school board member or trustee that is elected by the community to make important decisions about the school system. Trustees are not paid. So school boards bring together people who are passionate about quality education and commit much of their time to this crucial public service. Really, up until I did this research, I had no clue. And that's totally fine. There's a lot of things that go on in life that you don't know about. But as soon as you start discovering things that let you really understand where people's minds are. So I guess I don't really hear anything bad about school board members, and I guess there's nothing to fight over. If there's no money, then they're there because they really want to be. Or, sometimes people do feel very serious about what they're talking about. I've heard about, a couple of arguments and things like that, but that's good that these people are there because they want to be. So it says eligibility. To be eligible to be a candidate for or elected or appointed to the office of school board. And obviously, this is for where I looked at, which is on poll.tasb.org. They're talking about policy. It says that a person must be a United States citizen, 18 years old by the first day of the term. So you can graduate from high school and then get on the school board. Have not been determined by a final judgment of a court exercising probate jurisdiction to be totally mentally incapacitated or partially mentally incapacitated without the right to vote. So there's definitely levels to that. Have not been finally convicted of a felony from which the person has not been pardoned. Have resided continuously in the state for 12 months and in the territory from which the office is elected for 6 months immediately preceding the following dates. And the following dates have to do with whenever you have filed your documentation. It specifically says for an independent candidate, the date of the regular filing deadline for a candidate's application for a place on the ballot. So you have to have lived there before that. For a write-in candidate, the date of the election at which the candidate's name is written in. So if you write your own self in before that. And then lastly, for an appointee to an office, the date the appointment is made. Okay, fine enough. And then the last requirement is that you be registered to vote in the territory from which the office is elected on the date described on item 5, which were all of those descriptions. And that was on poll.tasb.org about policy. So that's pretty close to home. I don't know if it's something that is of interest to most people to even inquire about these things, but by having it all in one episode, hopefully people can come back and reference this. So if you're interested in being a school board member and having some impact into your local area, into the young folks, into what they're learning, to the budget, all that kind of good stuff, then it is a great place to start. And it's a campaigning ground, right? So if you want to go to bigger places, then start by campaigning to be a school board member and then go from there. So what do I think would be next? I'm sure there are other positions that are in and around, that may not be, that may be closer to it than this next position. But I wrote down the next position to be the city council member. So it says that city council exercises the legislative powers of city government. This one is actually very detailed. I'm really happy to know about this. We're participating in our cities every day, and we don't really know. Maybe I'll speak for myself. I don't really know who is pulling the strings on each thing. So as I did research, I was like, oh, I would really appreciate it if somebody that had the same, intention as me was in this position. So yeah, specifically this city council member has a lot more power than I think. So Salt Lake, Utah's website says that the functions of the city council include responsibilities include adopting the annual city budget, that's fine, ordinances and resolutions, setting appropriate tax levies. Okay, this is kind of getting important. Establishing sewer and water rates. Yes, because those bills can be high. Setting other general tax and service rates. Okay. Mayoral veto override authority. Oh, that mayor might be upset. And setting the council agenda. Okay. So it sounds like something like that would be a really good fit for like maybe an accountant. Because if they're looking over budgets and things like that, seems like it would be a good fit. I mean, it seems like it anyway. So another city, Sugar Land, at sugarlandtx.gov says that elected officials have certain requirements. And it says that their requirements are that they have to be 21 years old. The candidate must have been a district resident for at least 1 year preceding this election. A district council member shall live in and maintain a residence in the district to which they are elected. They must verify with the city secretary residency by presenting a driver's license or an ID. They have to present a voter's registration card to the city secretary. And it says no council member shall hold any other city office or city employment while serving as a city council member or hold any paid city employment within 2 years thereafter. So it depends. It depends on if you decide you want to go to some type of city employment after that. That might not be a good fit, but these are just things that I saw. And more specifically, what city council members do was kind of the important part to me. So when I started going down this rabbit hole, I looked in the city of Houston. And listen what it says that the city council person does. It says city council members are elected as representatives from the city at large and may serve no more than 3 successive terms. Okay, cool. There's a time limit. The city council adopts budget, enacts legislation, establishes policies, appoints positions. Appoints positions. What positions do you guys appoint? The city council appoints the following. Listen. The city attorney, the city manager, city secretary, clerks, municipal court judges, and the prosecutor. I would probably want to know who is being put on the bench. I would probably want to say in that. And it's weird that I didn't know that before I started digging into these different careers. It's just like these people are making very important decisions that affect lots of people, maybe some that you know, and it would be great if a person that represented all of the demographics was there to help make those decisions. So yes, this is a city council person. And for example, in the city of Houston, as of 2019, all members were listed for an annual salary of $62,983. So it's really not that bad. It's like, you can help make great decisions for your city. You can help appoint these individuals, and also you can make a nice full-time living. So what do you miss about this information? Now, how do you apply? That's what's missing. It's like, okay, that sounds like a great job. It has like a pretty low threshold, but like, how do I apply? I have never seen an ad in the paper for a city council member. So it's not like I was able to just go on to, whatever.gov and say, I want to apply. But it says that any person desiring to have his or her name placed upon the official ballot for any election may do so by filing an application for a place on the ballot with the city secretary. It was really simple. I literally went online to the city secretary's website, and there was a PDF application. You do have to log in and create like a username and a password, but that's it. It's really not that serious. But I think the fact that we're talking about it is a huge deal, because maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you thought it was some kind of like, I don't know, secret deal. It kind of is secret, because who in the world discusses how to apply for these types of things? Who knows the requirements? Who's even thinking about it? But now that maybe you're thinking about it, maybe someone like you would be a good fit for one of these positions, maybe a better fit than the person who was already taking up some of these spots. Okay, next. So we're still in the city, but who runs the city? I mean, in a technical way, the mayor. So the mayor. And it says that the description of the mayor is: the mayor serves as the executive officer of the city, the city's chief administrator and official representative. And to me, that sounded like someone who had a business background. Again, this is a position that I looked up that had the current person who has a law degree. So I think those law degrees are just, they're rampant. So if you have a law degree and you don't want to be an attorney, there's plenty of space for you in public service, running in different positions. But it says that the HoustonTX.gov says that the mayor is responsible for the general management of the city and for seeing that all laws and ordinances are enforced. Administrative duties include the appointments with council approval of department heads and persons serving on advisory boards. Okay, so that's great. So he's working with the city council. That's great. And it says as of 2019, and this was on Fox26Houston.com, it says as of 2019 that the mayor was the fourth highest paid position in the city of Houston, and that the mayor made $236,189 per year. And that makes him the highest paid elected official for the city. It's not bad. It's not too shabby, right? And it sounds like a business person. It sounds like, if a really good business person got into the seat of a mayor, it would be pretty much the same. I mean, they're supervising these things, they're working with constituents, and they're making it happen. So they are much more administrative in nature, and sounds like a place for a business person. So maybe if you have a business and you're looking to have some impact into your city, this might be something to look at. Um, I I did not read any requirements for this position specifically that were any different than the other positions, but it does say that Texas law requires that county office holders and candidates file documents required to comply with campaign and financial disclosure law. In addition, county office holders, candidates, and some county department heads are required to file personal financial statements, which is fine, right? Full financial transparency. I've worked jobs before where they're like, hey, we want to see where you're getting your income, which is totally fine. I just want to make sure you're not doing anything weird. I mean, don't let anything keep you from a position that you should rightly have. And if this is something that you have on your heart or your mind that you can do, then follow through. Okay, so let's take it to the state level. Um, what is a governor? What is a governor? Actually, it says that a governor is it says the governor of Texas is the chief executive of the state and is elected by the citizens every 4 years. I got this from gov.texas.gov, and it says the governor has the power to sign and veto bills passed by the state legislature, serve as commander-in-chief of the state's military forces, convene special sessions of the legislature, and then listen to this, grant reprieves and pardons. I always wonder who they decide they're going to grant these things to, and like they have any compassion to the people who are applying. If they have like, I just don't know that, every single governor have the like the understanding for the people who are applying, because I also didn't see where they have a limitation of pardons and reprieves that they can write. Anyway, continuing, and fill vacant positions via appointment. Additionally, the governor is responsible for delivering the state of the state address and an annual state budget report and budget recommendation. And says that the Texas governor's salary is $153,750. So yes, what do you have to do, or who do you have to be in order to qualify for this position? It says that the governor must be at least 30 years old and a resident of Texas. These are Texas rules, right? So I'm just keeping it within the things that I was already looking at, which are Texas rules. The governor must be at least 30 years old and a resident of Texas for the 5 years immediately before the election. Fine, makes sense. Responsibilities, it says on gov.texas.gov that the governor makes policy recommendations that lawmakers in both the state house and senate chambers may sponsor and introduce as bills. Great. So now they're making laws that are going to be impactful on the federal level. Okay, great. The governor also appoints the Secretary of State as well as members of boards and commissions who oversee the heads of states, agencies, and departments. Hey, listen. Also, when I was looking this job up of the governor, I just figured out that lieutenant governor is like the vice president to the president. It's like the governor's vice president. I had no clue. We're not going to discuss that position, but, I learned something new. Okay, I'm going to continue. Okay, so how much do you think this governor makes? It says that the Texas legislature sets the governor's salary, which remains unchanged. It's been unchanged for a long time. And this was as of 2019. The agency's chief of staff selected that it would be, the Texas legislature selected that the salary of $153,750 will remain unchanged. The agency's chief of staff is selected by the governor, and this position is a classified position subject to the plan. The specific salary for the chief of staff is $206,870 and is commensurate with experience and complies with the provisions. Now, listen, the only reason I even mention the chief of staff is because if, for instance, someone wants to run for office, that would be spectacular. But also, there are, I don't know what to call them. I want to call them real employment, like real jobs that go along with them, but they have to have regular positions that people can apply for and use their resume for and all those kind of things that they don't have to be elected into. So keep that in mind, that along with these positions that you can run for, I would love to hear if anybody's going to run for. There's also going to be positions that are open to support these positions that are available and might have really good pay. You never know. Okay, so on the federal level, what I didn't even know this. Sorry to my government professor. Totally forgot this. It says, what is Congress? Okay, did you know that Congress means both the House and the Senate? It's like a word that means both the House and the Senate. Listen, I'm not embarrassed to not know these things. I'm just telling you what I know. And if you didn't know that, or if you didn't remember, write it in the comments, because guess what? I passed my government class. It's all good, but all of these things are great to have a little reminder about. Okay, so the House has representatives, and you can run for a political position, which is a representative, right? So what is a representative? What does that mean? On house.gov, it says uh, a House representative is also referred to as a congressman or a congresswoman. Each representative is elected to a 2-year term serving the people of a specific congressional district, right? Okay. Among other duties, representatives introduce bills and resolutions, offer amendments, and serve on committees. Great. So there is a person somewhere from a specific congressional district that has gone on and also worked on a specific, I don't know, January 6th committee or whatever, impeachment committee or whatever. So those people have those positions, and they can further go on to have more specified jobs, which in this instance would be a committee. So what do you have to do to qualify for these jobs? It says to be elected to the House of Representatives, a person must be at least 25 years old, a U.S. citizen for 7 years or more, and a resident of the state that they represent. This seems pretty straightforward, right? Members of the House of Representatives serve 2-year terms. Cool. I mean, this sounds like very easy. Not easy, but it's pretty straightforward, right? And I just want to make sure to say these things out loud, because not to say that the people who are fulfilling these positions are not, special in their own way, but many more people, many more variations of people can apply, can run, and could possibly win. But I have never had these conversations, so we're having them. I hope there's plenty of comments about the possibility of a person wanting to participate in the political power. I said a lot of peace. Okay, next. So the Senate. What is a senator? It says that if you go to visitthecapital.gov, that a senator is a person elected or appointed to the Senate and duly sworn in. Correct. All right. So what are the qualifications on the Senate side? It says that in order to be elected to the U.S. Senate, a person must be at least 30 years old. Okay, fine. 5 years older than the other guys. Okay, got it. A citizen of the United States for 9 years or more, and a resident of the state which they represent. Fine. Makes perfect sense. Senators are elected for 6-year terms. Every 2 years, 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election. That's a 6-year term. Very cool. You have a lot of time to learn your job, to get better, to get contacts, to be able to make a major impact. I mean, this is awesome. I just didn't know this, so I definitely wanted to share this information. So let's talk about the part that people care about. How much do they get paid? Yes. So it says as of 2010 on Senate.gov that in 2010, federal government pay broke down just like this. It says members of the House and Senate they consider them to be rank and file, meaning like, you know, regular regular House and Senate members. They get paid $174,000 a year. The Senate or the House majority and minority leaders, $193,400. Right? Okay. And then how do you go about applying for these? It says House, Senate, and presidential candidate registration. An individual, and I got this from FEC.gov because there's a little piece of information here. It says an individual running for a seat in the House or Senate or for the office of the United States President becomes a candidate when he or she raises or spends $5,000 in contributions or expenditures. So basically, if you can raise $5,000, then you're off to the races for some of these big election seats. But you'll have to be able to at least get that $5,000 together. And if you can, then that shows that you're ready to take this position on. There's going to be a lot of spending. There's going to be a lot of fundraising because those advertisements talking bad about your opponent cost a lot of money. But yes, that is a documentation that's filed with FEC.gov, and it's essentially called a statement of candidacy. I just went online to fec.gov slash help candidate and committees, and it literally was a document that you download. It's none of this is hidden, but I just never have discussed it. I just never have had anyone to say, hey, this is how you apply for a political position. This is how you run for whatever. It's weird that we talk about all kinds of other stuff. So maybe we're just, pulling up a little piece of information to get the conversation started. That's awesome. Do your own research. Find out what is required in your state, in your area. Find out if your school board pays. And then let's talk back about it. And then maybe we can round up some support for people who are willing, because I think just by bringing it up, maybe we can increase the amount of people that are willing to run. And then we can have better representation of people that, walk, talk, think, look like you. Right? All right. Next, Vice President. It says that the Constitution names the Vice President of the United States as the President of the Senate. I should have known that, right? So the Vice President is the person who kind of presides over the Senate. And it says, in addition to serving as presiding officer, the Vice President has the sole power to break a tie in the Senate and formally presides over the receiving and counting of electoral ballots cast in presidential elections. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we had a very big happening happen not too long ago where we understand that this position is very important. So today, Vice President serves as principal advisor to the President, as we know. And I was able to find this information on senate.gov slash about officers staff. And the Vice President, it says that the annual salary for the Vice President is $230,700. And to the big guy, the president. When I went to whitehouse.gov, it says that the president is both the head of state and head of government of the United States of America and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. We all know that his annual salary is $400,000. And I did not talk about qualifications for the vice president or for the president, because they both have the same qualifications. You have to be able to fit the criteria for the same thing. It says that the president must be a natural born citizen of the United States. You must be at least 35 years old and have been a resident of the United States for 14 years. It says anyone who meets these requirements can declare their candidacy for president. Once a candidate raises or spends more than $5,000 on the campaign, they must register with the FEC, as we discussed prior. That includes naming a principal campaign committee to raise and spend campaign funds, and you can find further information on geteducated.com if you want to read about some of the different courses that people take, some of the different majors that people have that are in politics. But the whole point of today was just to discuss the fact that you probably have all of these qualifications. You're probably super overqualified. Where I did see someone who was like any kind of similarity to me, that person was super overqualified. They had all of the degrees, they sat on all of the boards, they had all of the distinguishments, they had all of the awards. I mean, like, and then sometimes I saw other people who just went to school. As a matter of fact, I even saw one person who had held a very high position who had an attorney to basically say that if anyone went to look at this person's college records, that they would sue. So what happened at college? Anyway, you are probably qualified. You probably have a friend that's qualified. Why are we not running for these positions? Today was just an open conversation. I just wanted to talk about it. I don't know how anybody feels about the public part that goes with running for political office, because it does make you less private and more public, which is fine, right? Which is fine. Do good for the greater good, and I'm sure that good comes to you. Anyway, my name is Kira. Every week we talk about careers and the world of work. Be sure to visit the website, www.freshfactory.com. Come back to the YouTube page every Sunday. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the episode that you like. Make sure that you watch all of them. If you're listening to us on audio, please feel free to find us on all the major audio platforms for podcasts and look us up as Kira of All Trades. Thank you so much for coming to the show. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.